The worthwhile World's Fair. People wonder if the World's Fair is worth going to. Perhaps it might be, but most likely not. For the average American, money isn't in abundance. Select few people can afford to waste money. Select fewer people would want to embark in frivolous expenditure if they could. Going to the World's Fair may not seem like a waste of money at first, but it is. In order to be able to open on time, sacrifices needed to be made. The fair, which had to be finished in 2 years, had to surpass that of the well-prepared Paris Exposition. On opening day, many buildings were unfinished. While there was interesting innovations to see there, juicy fruit gum and Pabst Blue Ribbon beer to name a few, it's not quite worthwhile. Of course, there was also the already famous Ferris wheel. Many people would come to the fair enticed by such an oddity. However, for the average American in this time period, it's just too expensive. It's not that they can't afford a ticket. The price of the fair was only 50 cents. That would equal about $13.16 today. That price seems pretty cheap compared to a ticket to Busch Gardens, which is $75. However, it was the getting there that was the main problem. The railroad was relatively new, and the people in charge were stubborn. The railroads had made it known early and forcefully that they had no plans to discount their Chicago fares for the exposition. Hence, the railroad prices were incredibly pricey and stayed that way. That discouraged many people from going that would have otherwise gone. Those were not the only prices that were discouraging visitors. The prices of the meals and other expenses were causing many people to consider that the fair was way too frivolous. People were afraid that anyone who ventured to Chicago would be fleeced unmercifully, especially in the fair's many restaurants with their extortionate prices. After hearing so many first-hand stories of the high prices, it would make sense not to go. There was also a glaring fear that it was dissuading people from going to the fair. People who otherwise might have traveled to Chicago to see the fair now stayed home. The terrifying economy was discouraging them. Though it isn't blatantly obvious, the economy is in a terrible condition. There seem to be plenty of unemployed workers. While it should be concerning that so many people are in need of jobs, big businesses and enterprises, such as the ones that built and run the World Fair, consider it a blessing. They think that since there is a surplus of people willing to do anything to make money, that they can pay people as little as possible for working way too many hours. As the fair progressed, the economy spiraled into poorer and poorer conditions. All of a sudden, they want to get their money, and they couldn't get it out because the banks were closed. People were panicking and trying to get their money from banks, only to find that there is none to be had. The money issues and fear escalated to a point where there were casualties. On the night of August 10th, Charles J. Eddy, a former top official of the bankrupt Reading Railroad, one of the first casualties of the panic, walked into Washington Park just north of Midway and shot himself. Its economy is so terrifying and bleak, and its prices are so high, there's no point in spending thriftily just to see a new and unfinished amusement attraction called the fair.